What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Tottenham update, and the transfer window is fast coming to a conclusion, and Spurs need to do some urgent business. I sound like a broken record because this is what I've literally been saying every update for the past 2 weeks.
20 years, I thought.
20 years, yeah. Not wrong, to be honest. But look, we are now in the penultimate day of the transfer window. It slams shut 11 p.m. tomorrow night, and the rumour mill is just in a complete overdrive. And why don't we just get our business done earlier so we don't have to go through this? But
And it wouldn't be fun. Leaving it late.
Trust me, it would be fun. It'll be more relaxing anyway. But look, let's get into potential outgoings, then we'll get into potential incomings, and we're going to start off talking about Eric Dier, as Charlie Eccleshare says that Spurs have rejected a loan move from Burnley for Eric Dier. Dier's preference was to fight for his place and move next year when his contract expired, but he, like Spurs, is now hopeful a resolution can be found before the window closes. And Romano says that Eric Dier is up for sale by Tottenham. Dier is a last-minute option for Bayern Munich, who are looking for a defender. And I just can't believe that he's going to be ending up at Bayern Munich by the end of tomorrow. And I can't believe that we've rejected a loan move from Burnley as well, just to get him off the books, get the wages off the books, and let him go for a free at the end of the season.
So we did the hard part. We actually got an offer from someone. Someone was genuinely interested and made us a bid. And we said no. Like, come on. Like, forget trying to get any money for him. Like, the hard part is getting someone to actually give us an offer.
The geezer has not even been on the bench, not even for our second round, not even for our second team against Fulham in the Cup. He couldn't even get on the bench for that game. So, I mean, that shows you what plans he's in for Ange Postecoglou. So just get him out by any means necessary.
Exactly, and just make room so we can bring another one in. And there's no need for Dier in this squad right now. If there's an offer, sell. Get rid.
Even a loan, like
anything,
you know
anything.
what I mean?
A loan bid. Maybe you get a loan fee. Maybe you get a bit of you get the wages off the books. So for me, I don't understand why we've rejected this bid. If we don't get any, if Dier's still here by the end of the window, then it's a complete joke. To be honest, considering we've had a bid.
It's a massive failure on their part if Dier's still here come 11 p.m. tomorrow night. But let's move on. Let's talk about Davinson Sanchez. Damasio says that Davinson Sanchez agent is in London to negotiate his client's transfer to Monaco. That are still pushing for the Spurs centre-back. Rink Elfrink says that earlier this week, PSV inquired about Davinson Sanchez. It was still too expensive at the time, but PSV is expected to keep pushing. Marco Timber says that PSV is trying to entice Sanchez into a move to Eindhoven. Several hijackers are on the coast, but the player obviously knows Boss well from his period at Ajax, which could prove to be an advantage. And L'Equipe are saying that Rennes and Tottenham continue to negotiate for Davinson Sanchez. So no shortage of suitors for him.
Yes, surely this one definitely happens now, I reckon. I think the fact that we rejected a 9 million bid from Rennes for him, what was it, a couple of days ago. So clearly there's people already trying to stump up money for him. So I'm assuming, I think our figure is at least 10 million and maybe a bit more if there's going to be a bidding war. I think this one gets done. I think he's going to be out the door before the end of the window.
You know what? Spurs, we've been desperate to get players out the door. We've got a fully bloated squad that Ange Postecoglou has made clear in his press conferences, and you could just see it by looking at the squad anyway. But we're just batting away bids left, right, and centre. What is going on?
We could have had Dier out today. We could have had Sanchez out a couple of days ago. Yes, you might. You maybe if you wait to the right at the end of the deadline, maybe you can get like a bit more money. But how much are we talking? A million or two? You know what I mean? Is it worth negotiating and potentially missing out on bringing in a centre back and taking that risk for the sake of a few million? Like, are we really going to be sitting here by the end of the window and Sanchez has gone for 15 million? I don't see that, to be honest.
Of course not.
Like, it's going to be like 10 million or something. So I don't understand why we rejected that bid from Rennes. We could have been moved things quicker, and we could be sitting here right now with a new centre back through the door if we had gotten these outgoings done in a couple early. But we're waiting and waiting for the right offer, and we're risking maybe, who knows who. I don't know what centre back we have lined up. Obviously the rumours are Tosin and Schurz, whatever, but we're risking the selling club of that centre back that we're looking for, saying, look, it's too late, we can't sell now, and we're taking a risk by trying to get a few more million here and there.
Yeah, and they could probably just go, you know what, screw you, we don't want to go negotiate with you, let's just go for Tosin ourselves.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Let's go to Japhet Tanganga. Peter O'Rourke saying that Augsburg are in advanced talks to sign Tottenham defender Japhet Tanganga on loan. Tanganga has made 50 appearances for Spurs since making his debut in 2019. And Charlie Eccleshare says that Spurs are in talks with Augsburg over a potential move for Japhet Tanganga. Permanent deal and loan moves being discussed, but Spurs do want the former. So it looks like we're discussing deals for Tanganga, Dier and Sanchez to go out the door, but there's no talk of any centre-back over the last couple of days to come in.
I can't see us letting all three go and not bringing any centre-back in. I just can't see that situation materialising, in my opinion. So for me, in a weird way, yes, there's no talk of a centre-back coming in, but if we do let all three go, that would excite me because I would have to assume we're bringing one in. I can't even contemplate selling three and not bringing one in. So for me, if you offer me the opportunity now to sell all three and bring in another centre-back, I'm doing it because I think that's the best situation to get the best quality at centre-back.
Like selling Berbatov and Robbie Keane and bringing in Fraser Campbell. Ashley Phillips is our Fraser Campbell.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, I don't want that kind of situation, but I have to assume this club isn't so incompetent that they would sell all the centre-backs and not bring any in.
I think you've been a Tottenham fan for long enough.
I just have to believe it.
You've been a Tottenham fan for long enough to know the situation.
I'm not going to sit here. I can't sit here and say, no, we shouldn't sell any of them because I fear that we're just going to have only two centre-backs. We're going to have to bring one in, and they know that surely. So for me, if we get offers for all three of them, you sell all three, and hopefully we can get one in before the deadline.
It's so classic Spurs to have like 4 or 5 goalkeepers on the books and only 2 centre-backs.
You know what? Even if it means like a loan bid for Harry Maguire, I'll take that. I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking. I'll take that.
Oh, a loan move for Harry Maguire. Is this what we're talking about now?
If you offered me now, sell all three, and we can get Maguire on loan, I'll take it.
Would you add him into a swap deal with Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, a loan swap?
A loan swap for Højbjerg? Yeah, let's do it. Screw it. Come on. Let's just burn it all down.
Ridiculous. We're sitting here with a day left of the window, and you've brought up Harry Maguire on loan. That's how low we've stooped at the moment. But let's talk about Tanguy Ndombele. There could be a bit of light at the end of the tunnel with this one. Charlie Eccleshare says that Tottenham would be open to a move. Ndombele would be open to a move to Inter if they decide to push on a loan. But Inter also have other targets in his position, are yet to make a decision. Spurs are keen to offload the player who is on hefty wages and last played for them in January 2022. Fabrizio Romano says that Inter have not submitted any formal bid for Tanguy Ndombele just yet, just asked on the conditions of the deal, waiting for an internal decision. Galatasaray also remain keen on signing Ndombele in case any European loan deal collapses. So, I mean, Inter, thinking about it, let's hope they make the move.
They are a Champions League club. He wanted Champions League. They have held interest in Ndombele before, I remember, on a loan deal, but Spurs I can't remember what happened, but we rejected it, I think, at the end of the day. So let's hope their interest is genuine. I think if in a weird way, the way they play a 5-3-2, maybe in that 3 in the middle, maybe they see him as a player who could potentially fit that kind of the profile they want for a midfielder in that role. I think it would be a great move for him if he can pull off an Inter Milan at this stage, considering how late in the window it is. But they discuss the conditions of the deal, and they'll probably look at his wage package and like, what about 50? Well, 10% of his wages, you know what I mean? Then I can't see him paying 100% of his wages. That's going to be a big outlay.
Yeah, you'd probably assume like the max they'll pay on the wages is about 50%, about 100 grand a week. And even if you can get 100 grand off the week, off the bill, I mean, it's better than paying 200 grand a week. So you got to take it at this case, I guess. 100%. Next up is Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. Jacob Steinberg says that Tottenham are looking to find a buyer for Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. Simon Jones from the Mail saying that Atletico Madrid have revived talks to sign Tottenham player Emile Højbjerg on a loan with an obligation to buy of £40 million. And Dario AS says that Pierre-Emile Højbjerg remains the desired one for Atletico Madrid manager Diego Simeone as he continues to look for new defensive midfielders for his squad. And I tell you what, if we could get an obligation with £40 million, that'd be an unbelievable deal for Tottenham.
Yeah, I'll be shocked if we're able to do that. It'll be a brilliant deal. Let's hope that Atletico are serious about reviving this deal, because it seemed dead in the water for a while. But I don't understand why that wouldn't have been discussed before, because I'm sure a loan would have been, I suppose, we'd have been open to that with an obligation at any stage.
Maybe they weren't open to adding that big of an obligation earlier in the window. Now they're a bit desperate.
Who?
Atletico.
Atletico are desperate. Yeah, but I thought the talk was Spurs wanted 30, so now they're looking to go 40. I can't see them going to 40. I'm sure there'll be a negotiation there.
There's always this rubbish in the press because we heard like throughout the whole summer that they couldn't agree a deal with Spurs, and then we heard he has agreed a deal with Spurs. Then Højbjerg actually rejected Atletico, so I don't know what's true anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I would be shocked if the personal terms, but we heard that, I can't remember who said it, that the personal terms were actually the sticking point. But let's just hope that that this deal can get done, and I think it will be best for the club. I thought he was shocking in his last performance. Maybe he's got the transfer on his mind, but for me, look, I'm still open to him staying, but if we can get that kind of offer for him, I think it's worth letting him go.
Yeah, agreed. Let's move on and talk about Dane Scarlet. He looks to be on his way out of the club on loan. Paul O'Keefe says that Dane Scarlet's set to join Ipswich on loan. 19-year-old, also likely to extend the current contract with Tottenham. Rob Guesty says that Dane Scarlet heading to Ipswich on loan. Prior to heading out on loan, Dane Scarlet is going to sign a contract, and Charlie Eccleshare just confirms all that, saying that he has signed a contract extension which will take the deal to 2027, and he's heading out to Ipswich. So a keen eye on Ipswich this season.
Yeah, 6th in the Championship at the moment, so that's a very promising move. Yeah, in the Championship.
Okay.
So that's very promising. I thought he was going to get a League One move, probably, I would have thought. But seems as though a Championship club has bitten the bullet. They've won their last 3 games as well. So maybe he's going into a team in form. So that's a really interesting loan move for him. And I'm glad it's on the contract to show our commitment to him and our belief that he could be a striker here for the long term. So I'm super excited. I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on Ipswich this season.
How do you see this one playing out? Like, if he has a really good season at Ipswich this year and gets like in double figures of goals for them, do you see him coming and impacting the first team next year, or another loan maybe to a lower Premiership team?
It's tough to say because who knows where Richarlison's going to be in a year's time, what's going to be where Valise's going to be in a year's time as well. So it's tough to predict these things. But if he's getting double digits at his age in the Championship, I would like him to come back into the first team next season. I wouldn't want another loan deal. Yeah,
I would agree with that. And I think I was fairly impressed with him coming off the bench in the Cup at halftime during the midweek. And I think like if he shows those kind of attributes, I know maybe physically he wasn't completely up to it with Premier League defenders, but if he can show and grow in this Ipswich team throughout the year, I think we've got a top player on our hands with Dane Scarlet.
Did Parra go to Ipswich for a bit?
I kind of think that he did.
I think he did.
In League One, though, maybe?
Yeah, I think in League One. I think I'm right in saying that.
Yeah, I think I remember something like that. I mean, he went to Preston last year. Maybe the year before he went to Ipswich.
Yeah, I think he did. Can't remember exactly, yeah.
But let's talk about some incomings now, and let's talk about Brennan Johnson once again, as Romano says that Tottenham's priority remains Brennan Johnson, a player approved by Ange Postecoglou. The board, they are all together on this target. If Brennan Johnson doesn't happen, Spurs do have other options. Dan Kilpatrick says that Tottenham are poised to table a bid for Brennan Johnson. Simon Jones says that Brentford have resurrected talks with Nottingham Forest over Brennan Johnson after initially appearing to pull out of the race. And Jacob Steinberg says that Tottenham are also expected to bid for Brennan Johnson. So it looks like a bid is going to be incoming, but is it going to be enough for them to accept the bid? We know they want between 40 and 50 million pounds. Are we going to bid that much?
Yeah, Paul O'Keefe said we're still far apart in the valuation as well. So, you know, as you say, they've rejected that bid from Brentford. If that was a bid, you would think like, I suppose really going to go more than
like
that.
42, wasn't it?
Yeah, 43 million plus add-ons, I think it was, and they rejected that. So it's like, okay, wow, it looks like they're serious about this fee that the valuation they're sticking to. So I mean, unless Tottenham are making up with the player, some cash plus players, I think that's the only way this deal gets done. So it depends who we include and if Forest are going to be interested in them. You know, we can say, oh, we can include Reguilon, but apparently they're going to sign Nuno Tavares, so that rules out their need for someone like Reguilon. They wanted Sanchez, but apparently they just signed a Brazilian centre back. So do they need Sanchez? So then all of a sudden, what players do they want from us that we're willing to give them? It's going to be tough to know.
Yeah,
but Steve Cooper, you know, in his press conference was asked about it if he expects Brendan Johnson to be a Forest play. He said it's coming. If there's something's going to happen, then it's coming to that time. There's no official news, so we'll have to carry on as normal. We'll treat this best as we can as a normal day. So, I mean, judging from those quotes, it doesn't seem massively confident that Brendan Johnson's definitely going to be here by the weekend. But look, things change very quickly in football, as we saw yesterday. So you know, you can't take anything for granted. But let's hope we can get this deal over the line, because it seems that one that Ange definitely wants.
Yeah, I think it's going to have to be a straight up cash, to be honest, for Brennan now. I think all the targets that they were looking at, as you mentioned, they've signed a centre-back, they've signed Nuno Tavares at left-back, so that rules out Reguilon and Davinson Sanchez. So who else is there? I mean, Brian Hill maybe?
Hoybier?
Hoybier going there. Brian Hill maybe?
Hill maybe? Yeah. Potentially,
that's the only one.
They're going to need someone to replace Brendan. But like, that's the only one he's injured, and is he even up to it right now to play in a team like Forest? I don't know. Like, I don't know if
that's the only one I can think of. Like, as potential.
Dier, take Dier.
They don't want. They just sign a centre back.
No, take another one. I don't know. Yeah, I'm struggling to think of who they'll want. Lloris? No. And Howard doesn't even knock anything off the price anyway, because we're going to release him. Yeah, so I don't know.
There's literally no one apart from maybe Brian Hill, and with his injury, probably not. So.
Yeah, Spence could have been a good one, but he's obviously gone to Leeds, so maybe they didn't want him. I don't know.
Probably Aurier's better than Spence anyway.
Yeah, maybe.
Let's finish off talking about Conor Gallagher. This name has reappeared once again, as Nazar Kinsella says that Tottenham are interested in Conor Gallagher, but it will depend on what happens with Hoybier. Simon Jones of the Mail says that Tottenham plotting a late swoop for Chelsea's Conor Gallagher as Ange Postecoglou targets reinforcements in the midfield. Matt Law says that Tottenham are weighing up a late move for Conor Gallagher. Dan Kilpatrick says that Conor Gallagher would be allowed to leave Chelsea for around £50 million. Tottenham are keen if they can offload Højbjerg. And Jacob Steinberg as well says that Tottenham are set to make a late attempt to sign Conor Gallagher, who is also on Bayern Munich's radar. So when you're looking at these two players, Conor Gallagher and Brennan Johnson, 50 million is the price tag on both of them. I mean, signing both of these players for 100 million just smacks as craziness to me. It really does.
It does, but what I would say is right now, I reckon we're probably, without selling anyone, not without selling one, but without serious, in terms of financials, I think obviously we're looking to get rid of players just because of the size of the squad, but in terms of money we're willing to spend, we're probably willing to spend at least 50 million on one of them. But if we get a 40 million or 35 million for Højbjerg, then yes, the deals seem excessive, but in terms of the money being there to spend it, I think we can do it. I think we can get them.
That doesn't even come into my thinking, because I know Spurs have money. Spurs definitely have money. We've hardly spent any money we're like 50 million, 40 million something, or even less than that. I think we're even like close to just break even this summer with the Harry Kane sale. So that doesn't come into my thinking. But in terms of like just pure value for money, 100 million for Conor Gallagher and Brennan Johnson just doesn't smack as great value to me. But having said that, if you're going to get 40 million as an obligation for Højbjerg and spending 50 million on Gallagher, I'm not really too mad at that. And if you're going to spend, we need to get in a right winger and someone that can play up front as well. And Brendan Johnson does tick those boxes. And on top of that, they're both homegrown players. And we're desperate for homegrown players. So I kind of, in terms of the money spending, I'm not really up for it. But in terms of how they'll suit the squad and in terms of suitability, I would be up for it. So I actually would make the signings.
If Cole Palmer's 45 million, then Brendan Johnson's, you could argue he's probably double that. You know what I mean? Because he's shown a lot more in the Premier League right now than Cole Palmer.
But Chelsea will just spend anything to get their targets through the door. I mean, we're Tottenham. We spent 40 million on James Maddison.
Cole Palmer has made 12 Premier League appearances, and most of them, I think all of them from the bench. Like I don't think he's had a Premier League start yet, and he's going for 45 million. That's like the market we're in at the moment.
But that's like Chelsea will say to you, well, look, we're spending 45 million on Cole Palmer, so Conor Gallagher's definitely worth 50 million. Daniel Levy will go back to him, well, we spent 40 million on James Maddison, so he's worth about 30 million.
So Conor Gallagher's probably worth 10 million on that front.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but for me, look, in terms of financials, I'm not too worried about it. If Tottenham want to spend that money, then and it's not my money. If they want those players and they're willing to spend the 100 million, I do think it's excessive. But I think there are two good players. I do think Conor Gallagher gives us more better offensive options in that midfield, and I think all of a sudden the offensive ability of that midfield three with Basuma, Gallagher, and Maddison, when you've got Bentancur and Sarr and Skip coming in as well, I like the look of that midfield three a bit more with that rather than Højbjerg. The only worry is if Basuma does pick up an injury, who does play the backup number 6 role? But then again, maybe Bentancur can do that if he when fit. Maybe Bentancur could fill in if he's back available, could fill in number 6. So I guess maybe they're thinking that way. I like Conor Gallagher. I think he's a really good player. He's homegrown. I think he can play a number of different positions as well. He could potentially fill in on the right if need be, but obviously I wouldn't love him there. But I do think he's a really good, talented young English player as well. I think he's getting better. So I don't think he's worth 50 million, but I think I'd much rather him in the squad than Højbjerg. So I would be happy with that deal.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got a number of players that could potentially fill in the 6. Obviously, Basuma is going to be the first choice, and he's the best, most equipped player to play there. But I've gone on record to say a number of times that I think Bentancur can do the job, and I think maybe even Pape Matar Sarr could fill in there if need be, and also Ollie Skip you've got there. So I think Ollie Skip's probably more suited to that role than he is to the number 8 role. So I think we do have a few midfielders that can fill in there, and Højbjerg just seems a bit like the odd one out at the moment, to be honest.
Yeah, and I just think we want to up our technical ability in that centre. And I think Conor Gallagher provides energy as well. I think he's quite good off the ball. He always has pretty good stats for like tackles and stuff like that. So I don't think he's a liability with his energy. And then obviously on the ball, he adds a lot more than what Højbjerg can bring in terms of his passing ability and ability to drive with the ball as well. So, and also potentially cut a few more goals. You know, for Palace, he was scoring a lot of goals when he was in midfield. So if he can bring that back, I think he could have a very good signing here.
Well, how do you see the pecking order, though, of the number 8s if Conor Gallagher does come in? Because obviously you've got Giovanni Lo Celso, who'll probably play, in rotation with Maddison or back up to Maddison, whichever way you want to look at it. You've got the other number 8, which is probably, you've got a big choice of Pape Matar Sarr, Bentancur, and Conor Gallagher. And then the number 6, you've got Basuma and probably Bentancur and Pape Matar Sarr. So, I mean, how do you see the pecking order going from the number 8s? Yeah,
I mean... Look, with the way Sarr
fit in,
I think he probably comes in as first choice.
Really, you think first choice?
I think maybe with the way Sarr's playing, you can't just drop him instantly. So I think obviously Sarr keeps his place. But I think Conor Gallagher, if he shows, when he comes off the bench and stuff, that he's ready to go. I think probably right now he's maybe a bit ahead of Pape Matar Sarr. As much as I love Sarr, he's still very young. I think Gallagher's ahead of his development at the moment. He's also young in his own right. He's 23, but I think Gallagher's probably a better player in my opinion than Pape Matar Sarr on the ball. So I think I think a midfield three of Basuma, Gallagher, and Maddison. That's how I would see it, to be honest. But it's an all conversation about Skip because I don't know where he fits in.
Backup role.
Back up to wherever, but he's like third choice in 3 positions.
Yeah, that's the honest truth. So I think
maybe a loan move.
The thing is, if it does pan out like that, you got to remember as well. In January, the AFCON comes around. We're going to lose Basuma. We're going to lose Pape Matar Sarr.
Yeah, there's 3 games or whatever.
It is 3 games as well. Probably a cup game in there as well, the FA Cup. But we need to make sure that we've got a team well enough to play in those 4 games. Because we do have good, important games and big games in that period.
You can't keep Skip as third choice just for 3 games in January.
No, I get that. I completely get that. But he's going to have to go through a season. We're not going to loan him out from now until the end of the thing. So he's going to have to fight for his spot, show Ange on the training ground that he's here and he's good enough and he's good enough to play. If it doesn't work out like that, then I imagine towards the end of the season next summer, we might look to loan him out or even a transfer.
Yeah, at the moment, at the moment, his performance level is not high enough, and that's the reality. So, and that's even without Bentancur being here at the moment. And when he's back fit and ready to play, it's even going to push him further down the list. So
I do like Ollie Skip. I really like him as a player, but I just question his suitability to an Ange midfield. When you look at the roles he played prior to Ange coming in, I think he was more suited to those kind of roles. But now we're playing a very technical game. The midfielders are bobbing forward all the time. I just don't know if Ollie Skip's suited to that.
Yeah, we have to. I don't think he suits the number 8 position. I do think, from what his qualities, he's more suited to number 6.
Even that, I don't think he's 100% suited to.
He can't do it like Basuma can. Yeah, I mean, I think that's his position, to be honest. I think he is a 6, and I think that's the qualities he was showing before his injury was showing, like his ability to spray passes and be defensively sound and stuff like that. But it's just about his ability on the ball to like progress the ball with his ball carrying ability, and that's a big question mark right now. And at the moment, he's not showing an ability to do that. I think he was a bit before his injury, but since his injury, he hasn't really done that on a consistent basis. So needs to get back to those levels as soon as possible. Otherwise, he could easily find himself out the door soon.
Realistically, though, like if you do play him in a 6 and ask him to do the role that Bissouma does, it's such a drop off in quality. Like a massive drop off in quality, where if you ask Bissouma, Bentancur to do that role, yeah, it might be a little bit of a drop off in quality, but nowhere near as much as Ollie Skip. Like Bentancur is a top level player, right? Just Skip ain't that just yet.
Yeah, agreed.
So there you have it. That is your Tottenham update. I assume that we will be bringing you a lot of Tottenham updates over the next 24 hours. But that is it for today. For now, let me know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding all the news story we brought to you today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always,
come on, you Spurs.